We need to understand, as all firms would realize, the balance between offensive and defensive action. We need to understand how entrepreneurs find unique values and ensure that there is a corporate sustainable model that can be built around them. How do they drive change within industry? And how do they do so in a manner that defines consistency? To help us understand this topic better, we have with us Mr. Khwaja Saifuddin, Senior Sales Director, South Asia, Middle East and Africa for Western Digital. May we have Mr. Saifuddin on the dais, please. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause to welcome our next panel, please. Mr. R. Subramaniam, the Senior Vice President and Managing Director for DHL Express India.
Thank you, everybody. We are ready to roll. I believe Amit has already sliced off 5 minutes of our time. So we are running behind schedule. So the way we'll do this is each of these panelists will go for about 2 to 3 minutes, set the context, and then we have a quick conversation with us, among us, and we open it up to the audience. So if I can begin with Khwaja.
Okay. So I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
So today, as we talk about the strategy, positioning, trade-offs, and the true fits, what I feel is that in the context of India, first of all, from an entrepreneurial view, if an entrepreneur wants to make a place for himself, the first thing which is of a key content is differentiation. So he needs to work on an offering, on a product which is differentiated than what is currently available. Otherwise, he would always be on a defensive. He can never go into an offensive. Truly, what we need are the iPods, which could make a difference in the way the industries exist, in whatever way, in whichever field he wants to make a presence felt. Then the biggest thing on a fit or a right timing in entering the market, the biggest example which I could give would be the e-tail industry in India. Coming from a storage background, I have to correlate something on that. But if you look at e-tail first happened in India in the year 2000. We had eBay coming into India, spending about $550 million, buying out a company, setting themselves up in India. But they could not exist. They had to exit the market because the PC penetration or the internet penetration wasn't there. 2007, we saw the Flipkarts. 2010, we saw the Snapdeals. Investments started coming in, and today we have about 350 million internet users in India. The forecasted growth is that by 2017, there are going to be about 500 million internet users. And of those 500 million, 370 million will be mobile internet users. So that's a big opportunity for the entrepreneurs which is coming up. That, fine, we are still in an early 2-digit PC penetration in India, but that internet penetration is growing. So we need to look at those trade-offs that, yes, we are climbing the ladder and leaving a few steps in behind, but that growth is happening, that potential is happening, that market is there. So our offerings, our deliverables need to be differentiated. They need to be offensive. We should not be a copy, a me too in the market, which is the easiest way to go about, just copy the main leader in the market and have an offering. It takes a little bit of a thought process, but I think so an entrepreneur in today's way, with the way the India is happening, the made in India, the emphasis on having a self-reliance, we need to look and come out with a differentiated approach on whatever offering, whatever go-to-market approaches we need to have. And then only we'll have a sustained model in place, which would not be a me too, but a scalable, sustained model of growth.
Thank you.
It's very easy to say that you need to be differentiated and we cannot be me too. Because I come from a company, I represent DHL Express. So what can be more undifferentiated than a logistics service? Yeah, moving goods from here and there are hundreds of express and logistics companies. There are companies who don't do express, still call themselves express. And there are a lot of companies who, we think we provide express service, and when I come and introduce myself, I'm from a DHL, I say, oh, courier. So therefore, that's as undifferentiated as one can get. But how do you get value? Yeah. I think lack of differentiation is something which is there to stay in almost any product segment. Yeah, but then there are ways in which you can create value for your customer, and that is where you bring in the differentiation. Yeah, which is something which is borne out for DHL. A lot of you may not know what D and H and L stands in DHL. They stand for three entrepreneurs who started the company: Dalsey, Hillbloom, and Lynn. And how did they start the company? DHL, what it stands today is from what we say is big idea 40 years back, where they saw huge port congestion in California, basically because the goods have arrived but the documents have not arrived. And therefore they said, if we get documents before the goods come to the port, then this queue and congestion can be avoided. And that's where the seed which got the express business globally coming in. And today, one would think that with that kind of a brilliant idea and global network, then the company will grow and make profits and become stronger and stronger. But in 2008, 2009, around the time when the global recession was in place, DHL possibly was in a position where the group could have taken a call to shut down the express division because it was bleeding, making 2 to 3 billion losses every year. And then in 2009, we wrote a 5 to 6 year strategy called Focus Roadmap, which takes me back to brings me straight to the topic which is here, which is about strategy, trade-off, and fit, building a competitive advantage. In 2009, we took a conscious call to define what is the core business we will be in as Express and what we will not do. Yeah, then we said that we will be in time definite international, and whatever is not time definite and whatever is not international, and where therefore the customer will not see the service quality of Express, then we should not be providing that service. That is a segment which is a distract. Yeah, to me, strategy is more about being clear on what not to do, as much about clarity on what to do. But that clarity and sticking to your core competence, which is what the Porter strategy continues to say, is really what has brought DHL where it is today from a -2, -3 billion loss-making entity in 2008, 2009. This year will possibly make 1.6, 1.7 billion globally in terms of profits. And we are a global market leader in Express. So therefore, trade-off in the way you choose where you want to play in an undifferentiated market can create great value. And trade-offs, if there is time, we can have further discussion. Trade-offs in the way you price yourself, trade-offs in the way you focus on quality, and then decide what to do and what not to do, can further enhance that value and give you sustainable competitive position in the market.
You know, the new opportunities opening up in this new economy and the mobile-enabled businesses that are coming in. So as you see, ePaisa is probably one of the products of the new economy compared to everyone else on the stage. And so I'll just give you a background for the ones who don't know what ePaisa is about. We essentially started off with a product which would enable merchants to accept credit card payments on a mobile phone through a device like this. So if you're a business owner, then you could accept card payments, and that's where we took off from. But we soon realized that to digitize India and to take things forward, you actually have to digitize the entire point of sale. And that means enabling merchants to handle their billing, their inventory, all their payments needs, their marketing needs, and everything. So essentially, we became a product which is now a full mobile-based app which enables merchants to do billing, inventory, payments, loyalty, and even earn out of the application with value-added services. And the app is free for merchants. There is no cost. So that became our strategy and go-to-market, where we removed the barrier for the merchant to embrace technology and digitize. And then that would open up more larger avenues for them to even go online, sell products on different marketplaces or hyperlocal apps. And that's where our revenue would come from. So that became our strategy in terms of differentiation, where we opened the entire system, made it entirely free. Just go on the Play Store and download the app and start a business. So we are trying to be the tally equivalent at the point of sale. Because if you want to start a business, where do you go today? So do you have a software that you can get? No. If you want an accounting software, you would get Tally. But so that's what we are targeting at trying to be. And we've taken a strategy approach where we've kind of brought all partners together instead of competing against players. So we offer our solution to banks to offer it to their merchants. We integrated wallets into our system, so you could actually go to a retail outlet and make a payment using any of the wallets that you probably use for Uber or for Ola or for anybody else. And that gave us another advantage of being agnostic and just uncompetitive in that sense, that we were not competing against anyone, but we just brought everybody into an ecosystem. So that's what we essentially do.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a couple of quick points. Number one, I'd like to reiterate the fact that trade-offs are very important when it comes to strategic positioning. And India today is a land of opportunity. So therefore, it's very easy to get distracted and say, why not this also? And that's, I think, the death knell of the company. For example, when we started giving loans in rural India for houses, it was very tempting to also do some amount of, the Gurgaon kind of loans and build the book quickly. But fortunately, we desisted, and I think it's paid off. The other point that I'd like to make is that once you've taken the trade-off decision as far as strategic positioning, etc., is concerned, you also need to, like the topic says, get into subsequent fit of each and every activity and make your decisions at every level. Now, it's very easy to say that. I come from a very large conglomerate, so we had the backing of a large house, business house. So it was very easy to look at each of those decisions from the prism of accounts, efficiency, so on and so forth. And I think if we had done that, we may have made a mistake. What we decided to do is to look at each of those decisions of fit from the prism of customer centricity, of, call it customer centricity, call it customer insights, whatever. The minute we started looking at it from those prisms, we realized we've taken a whole lot of decisions which have now helped us create entry barriers for our future competitors. So I think that's the other point that I wanted to make, that it's the customer centricity led decisions and trade-offs which would help.
Oh, thank you. Finally.
Yeah. There are how many Aries out here? Raise hands. All right, great. I'll talk in two parts. Yeah. The first part is, this morning I was with two young boys who are yet to pass out of school. And we keep on meeting. They are sons of Dr. Amit Kapoor. And over years, we exchange puzzles. So they asked me a puzzle this time that on a chessboard, what's the maximum number of knights or horses in Indian sense you can place that none intersects with other? I give you a minute to think.
You don't have a minute here. Huh? So
that's okay. I'm giving my minute away. So on a chessboard, what's the maximum number of knights you can place that none attacks the other? So one way is you think that a knight moves to places one direction, then left or right. Other way is a knight always changes color. So if I keep all the black squares filled with knights, 32 knights, they have to land in white squares. So there's one simple way of doing this. This is what I think strategy is all about. There's another puzzle, I can share that later if time permits. The young youth are very clear, they are strategic, they have good insights, and we got to beat them, or we got to rope them in and build things on their perspective. The second thing is, we had a talk in the morning, Rajiv Bajaj was talking about holism, about homeopathy in that sense. So I look at soul, mind, heart and body in that sense. The soul of strategy is you have to make decisions today which will help you create a future you want. Strategy is not about creating, about predicting. Nobody is making predictions. It's not about what you will do in future. I got to do things today so that I have a future I want. This is something is coming out of soul. This I think is the Piscean or the water sign sensibility, sensitivity, that kind of a domain. The second thing is trade-offs, fits, and everything else. This is an analytic exercise in which you got to fit in the various components. And this is a mind thing, this is a Libran thing. The third thing is from the heart, the fire, the Aries. The sense of honesty, the authenticity has to be there. I find about 70% of corporate is Indian family owned, huge hypocrisy. Nobody wants competent people below you. You want people who are yes men somewhere down the line. This is not going to work. Although I've been scanning corporate for many years, decades now, and I can sense a strategic renaissance sort of going to happen. It'll take us about 6-7 years. The last part is you have to be Virgo. Virgo is earth sign, a realist. That is a body part of the whole business. You have to be fact-based. You can't be just dreaming things or doing what is known as wishful thinking. So if it's a combination of these four, and you can include other sun signs too, because in a way I'm talking about earth, fire, air, and water. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Rather spiritual note to close this opening remarks. I just wanted to throw this question to the panel. When you're looking at strategy, now the idea of disruption, not necessarily through technology, but it's emerging at the moment through technology. How do companies factor that in when they are looking at future strategy? I'd like to begin with Siddharth because he is the product of this immense disruption which we have seen. So how do you ensure that you don't become a victim of that disruption later down the line, and how do you fit it into your strategy?
Well, to be honest, today we are that disruption. So we are just changing the market today. But absolutely, I mean, as we move forward, we're just going to be very embracing on new technology and being a technology company instead of a hardware company or a product-focused company. It's in our DNA, and I think that's very important that it's built into your core to be embracing of change in our space and in the technology space especially. Because I've seen a lot of companies in the hardware space or traditional software space as well, who've not moved with the times. They're not embracing newer things that are coming in. And I'll give you an example. Within our systems, we just launched a couple of weeks back the acceptance of Bitcoins, something which doesn't happen today. So you can actually, in India, pay using Bitcoins, and the merchant would actually get money in his bank account as a regular transaction. So that's new technology that's coming in.
But it's legal.
Absolutely, it's legal. It's being done, through an aggregator which converts all Bitcoins to Indian rupees. So we are just on the lookout for new technology all the time and just keep adding newer things as we go ahead.
Ajay, would you like to jump
Sure. So on disruptions and changes in technology, I'll just answer from the perspective of the company I proudly work for. So if you look at it from a technological perspective, today the cliche word is cloud. Wherever we go, we are hearing about clouds, clouds, clouds. What we do differently is we provide a personal cloud. So a consumer can have a cloud solution, but that cloud resides in your own premises. Because the biggest fear today for people to save on a cloud is the safety and the security of the data, that there should be no breaches. So what we offer is a personal cloud solution. You can access your data from wherever you have an internet access, be it a mobile device, be it a PC device, and the data resides within your premises. So I would say these are one of the things in which you evolve, taking the basis of something and looking for an opportunity for change. So it might be disruptive in one way, or it could be constructive in the other way, that you're creating a bigger platform, opening it up to other solution providers. So today, we have other partners like Acronis, Milestone, and the others, or for that matter, even Actuate with their softwares on computing and stuff, which they put on our cloud solution. So when an end user buys it, he buys a bigger solution and not just a cloud. So he gets the accounting software, he gets the surveillance software, and the other value additions on that, which otherwise he would have gone out and might be buying it. So it's disruptive plus constructive in a way.
Yeah, for example, Amazon or a Flipkart or somebody start doing their own deliveries and therefore they're managing their own supply chain full time. So the 3P, 4PL logistics players are not needed.
Not audible.
Yeah, the 3PL, 4PL logistics players are not needed because customers start doing the logistics on their own. The second kind of disruption for us can happen if regulatory changes happen. Yeah, they bring in new blockers or bring in, take away a lot of blockers and things get very simplified and therefore it becomes very easy. Anybody can play and therefore it makes it a very, very level playing field. Or infrastructure is a big blocker today, and if somebody has good infrastructure, they possibly seem to be creating competitive value. But in all of these things, 2 points I wanted to make. One is what ePaisa is doing is interesting, which is that they're really not competing with anybody. So they are collaborating with a lot of people, and which is a way of staying so flexible that you are able to manage disruption significantly. So in our case, it's like we work with almost every e-commerce player who can be named in the market. Yeah, so all of them are our customers, and therefore we do significant work for them. And if we are damn good at what we are doing and our efficiency and quality levels are held high, that is the real, and we stay flexible, that's the real way of being able to manage any kind of disruption which can come. And more often than not, we bring in the disruption which is positive, needed in the market, which is the way to, I think, stay ahead of the game.
So you become a pioneer of disruption.
You bring in what the market will see value rather than get pushed down on the value chain because somebody else upstaged you.
I think I'll again go back to customer centricity and say the best way to react is through customer centricity and understanding the customer. Let me give you 2 specific examples. In our model, one of the biggest USPs, so to say, that we have is our ability to lend money to villagers and collect cash from them and, do the entire logistics management of that. Now, the question that is asked is with payment banks, electronic banking, etc., what will happen? Our response to that is that the customer still wants to see a face to trust, because he's not going to suddenly switch over to electronic banking, the rural customer. So therefore, can I use that technology, and can my people go with the tablet or whatever it is and do the last mile connectivity with the customer? So I take the disruptive technology to my customer, but I own the customer. So that's one. The second is, for if let us say everybody starts going on the net and accessing loans, we have already started doing an exercise of data analytics, where we are today in a position to classify a customer into a good, bad, or an indifferent kind of customer, depending upon 20-odd behavioral elements which he enters. Because we have analyzed our database of 2.5 lakh customers. Now that's a huge cutting edge which we have. Tomorrow, if somebody else were to offer those services also, I already own the customer, I already know what the customer is about, and I can offer the same thing far more competitively. So I think there is no running away from technology. Technology will come, it will disrupt the way the business has to be done. But as long as you own the customer, you understand the customer, and you're willing to kill your own system, or your own business model, and just use that technology, I think you're home.
Sandeep?
I don't have any compulsions that I have to say this or stay politically correct. Sorry. In 90s, there was a company, Punjab Wireless. The young technocrat managing director, Gurpal Singh, he would go to US, find the most retro, the most obsolescent technology, and bring it in and sell those walkie-talkies to CRPF, BSF, and Indian Army. It went bankrupt. Today, I look at Airtel, so much is done by Ericsson, this is done by Nokia Siemens, the handsets are by Apple or Samsung. It's just a brand being managed. Everything else is distributed. That hypocrisy thing, I think that's what is happening. Times of India, Hindu, the Tribune, Sudokus are there. How many Sudokus are made in India? None. They all copied from international media. I talked of a puzzle a while back. How many puzzles are made by Indians? I see the Hindi language crosswords made in India. In English language, I'm yet to see crosswords made in India. There used to be some Mukul Khanna a long time back, the Illustrated Weekly and Mindbenders. He also copied all the puzzles from West. The case studies are all made by Harvard. Our professors, our IIMs, they're not able to write a decent 32-page case study which has a nice teacher note. I'm into executive search also, and sons of friends of mine, they want jobs after IT and everything else. So I'll tell them that on net there is a program how to make a Sudoku. I give you 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Learn to explain that program. Forget about making that. You come back to me, explain that program, I'll get a decent interview fixed and your job is through. They never come back. The Infosys per employee wealth creation is $42,000. This number for Adobe is $3.5 lakh. This number, wealth generated per employee for Microsoft, is $6,40,000. Technology, disruption, sorry.
Okay, I thought India was the puzzle, so which everyone's trying to fix all of today. At this stage, I'll just hold off. If there are questions from the audience, I do have one final question for them. But any questions from the audience?
I think this is the first time that I'm
interesting
hearing
about
strategy and trade-off really being covered in this thing. But it's a wonderful panel. I must congratulate
Ma'am, can you just hold the mic closer?
Yeah, I must congratulate the panel to really bring out some of the relevant points. But I still feel that if somebody could answer as to what is the kind of strategic advantage people are taking with technology. So you talked about the disruption, but what is the strategic advantage that people have taken, especially the businesses that we have been discussing today?
Strategic advantage of technology, you're the man on the...
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
No,
DHL, I know for sure, has done a great job in terms of taking strategic advantage of their positioning with respect to the technology. But what about the others? And ePesa, of course, is
See, academically, I can explain or give some insight into this. There are 9 elements in value chain given by Michael Porter, and technology is one of them. So which ones to focus on, which ones to not focus on, prioritize, etc., that decides your strategic competitive advantage. To give an example, Walmart long time back was down there, and the other retail chain, K was the #1 in US. Now what Walmart did, it installed that data capture thing and data sharing thing at all of its outlets. Now most companies are very sacrosanct about their data, but this company shared all data, live, everything else. So in a way the supply chain was cut down. The vendors had an access to the aggregate phenomenon, which way it was happening, and so they could move ahead. This is one real meaty use of technology in that sense. Indian context, I just see a lot of Excels and computer systems installed, but if anybody is understanding all of that, I don't know, because the 4th thing I talked of, Virgo, the body, that is all about data analytics. Strategy coming out of data analytics is not happening in India. Mukesh Ambani or anybody else in Videocon or any other diversified group, what happens is they take an intuitive call, always.
I would beg to disagree there. Please. Because using the same, your question, ma'am, we are using data analytics in a very big way, and we feel that's going to be a cutting edge going forward. So that's part of the technological breakthroughs that we are using currently.
I think when we say technology giving you an advantage, I think we will be wrong in thinking that something massive should happen and then only an advantage comes. I think in a business, there are thousands of moving parts, and there is so much of technology usage and improvement in the process to extract value, all of which add up to make you competitively superior. Yeah, data analytics, which you are saying, I think we have about 75,000 customers who deal with us. We manage million transactions a month with our customers, bringing goods into the country and taking out. That is rich data, and the customer information, what category, what kind of business they do, whether they're trading, not trading, drives a lot of marketing work which we do with our customers. So therefore, a lot of data analytics which can be done. Technology in every small step of a process in the international supply chain is very, very important. For example, if you have to custom clear the goods which are arriving here, I spoke about DHL business model coming from a big idea of documents arriving before the goods. The same thing today happens by imaging. So therefore, there is huge amount of back-end data processing and imaging and data movement before the goods which has to happen. And in that case, if I look at what we were doing the same work 10 years back to what we are doing now, I think there are 7, 10, 15 generations of the programs and processes and hardware employed and technology and turnaround time improvements have happened. So therefore, technology is now intrusive into most of our businesses. We cannot walk out of them. Having said that, it's very, very difficult to get disruptive technology. Most of the technologies which we use for data management and scanning and imaging and data transfer is almost available to everybody. How smartly you use it and how well your machinery is able to exploit it is what creates value.
I saw a hand sometime. No?
I don't know if we answered your question or not.
Any more questions? Okay. I'm curious. I have a question for, I think, all of you, particularly him, because you talked about putting the consumer right at the middle. And here there is a problem about control and use. Let's take the Uber example. Uber revolutionized the whole notion of taxi service. But what has happened, like the Uber example in India, which is a bad example of what went wrong, the fact is that you can't monitor the driver, the taxi driver, and you end up in a situation like this. So how do you regulate this model, which is disruptive by nature and which challenges the notion of regulation? So the whole fight in New York is precisely over this. So how do you, as a thing, this trade-off between use and control? If I control too much, my consumer use diminishes. If I open up, then this problem of what happened in Delhi.
If I were in Uber or whatever, I would say that again to take customer into, to hold the customer centric viewpoint, if I can also assure security through some mechanism, perhaps my value is much better than just an aggregation of taxi services. So really, if you look at it from that perspective and really look at it from what the customer wants, in New York, does he want that kind of service? In Delhi, does he want that kind of service? Maybe each market has a different kind of need. Maybe the need for security is far higher in certain markets. Let's not name them. But in certain markets, the need for security might be much more than in some other markets. So if the organization once again thinks through the prism of the customer, I think you can't go wrong. Having said that, at the end of the day, there are accidents which happen, there are things which tend to go wrong, and that's something which unfortunately you can't control entirely. There would be certain things which might go wrong. So that's the regulators then will pitch in, etc. So,
any of you would like to go this trade-off between, for a consumer, you have different kind of consumers, he has different kind of consumers. So how do you, how do you calibrate this trade-off in a way that you don't go to any extreme situation? It's a very difficult.
It's a very fine edge because, again, as dear friend said, that everything needs to be built around the consumer. So trade-offs also need to be around the consumer, that what type of consumer are you addressing? I have thousands of products, but might be those products are not targeted towards the Indian audience, simply because they don't have a use of that. They don't have that speed of a connectivity. So there's no point in selling them something which, instead of appreciating it, they would be like, what's this? So trade-offs need to be done, but around the consumer, around the environment in which you're going to be positioning those products.
Now, who determines that trade-off? How do you determine?
Again, it all comes with your strategy. When you have a go-to-market strategy, that which market you're targeting, what's your consumer base, what is the environment and you're going to be positioning those products. So you need to make trade-offs. That what is the affordability? Will a consumer be able to afford this service, or it's going to remain as an aspiration for them? So Uber, again going back, was an excellent solution, but in every environment we have users and abusers. So again, it's not the only incident which happened in Uber, which happened in India. It has happened world over. It's just that the power of media in India is much more superior to what we have in other places. But yes,
so we are complimenting you.
No, not exactly. We have been getting this jibe since morning, so we'll take it in our stride. You had an intervention.
No, I think the challenge in an Indian context, if you ask me, is that we are caught between many worlds. Yeah, we see it every day. For example, we bring in a self-help tool which makes it very easy for customers to do certain things. There is one section of customers think that I am passing off work I was doing for him to him. Yeah, but there are certain customers who say like, why don't you give me all the software, I will manage it myself. I don't want to day-to-day bother you. Yeah, I don't want to be calling your customer service. You give me online access, you give me a tool in my office, I will manage my transactions. So let us have paperless trade. So there are customers of this end and there are customers at the other end. None of them you can ignore. So you need to have options available for all of them. Then the users and abusers question comes. I said about 1 million transactions. There's 2 or 3 in a million of those shipments which come in possibly is contraband. But the entire security and controls which we need to exercise is to pick that 1 or 2 or 3 who's trying to abuse your system. So you cannot run away from all these things. End of the day, customers are of different generations who are trading with you. Some of them are very lucky because somebody is getting into e-Paisa, he is bought into the idea. Yeah, but somebody who is doing logistics business with me, he is the entire spectrum. There is an entrepreneur like them who are doing business with us, and there are employees of public sector banks who are unionized who are doing transactions with us. So we have to manage them from end to end. So there is no one size fits all for us.
Siddharth?
So, well, I don't think customer centricity and security of the passenger are two different sides that need to be balanced. Customer centricity is having security for your passenger. So, I don't think that's really the issue with which Uber had. That's a human factor. I mean, this is not an India factor. This has happened in the US as well, where there would be incidents that Uber would have had to go through. And I don't really think the balance is the problem here. I mean, this is more of a different kind of a question in that sense.
Okay, I think when I last looked at this, there were 5 minutes. We'll just close because I think they want to fast track because it's segueing into the final segment, which is I think what everyone's here for, so mostly. So on that note, thank you very much for a very nice discussion. Please thank you.